I would say that there's three target profiles that we consider in terms of the engagements that we have. The first of which would be, let's call it enterprise. So this is your Nikes, your Disneys, your Metas, right? And so in cases like that, you've got huge organizations with huge organization problems, right? I mean, that's a lot of people to have to deal with. And in those cases, most of those organizations are at a cash flow point to where they've really got a team of, anywhere from 25 to 100 people whose sole job is to conduct research about employee experience and or customer experience as part of their daily work habits. And that's great. So if you've got a 25-person research team, fantastic. That's the kind of target profile where we can come in and say, we'll provide the technology that allows your team to do that, but you're in the driver's seat. You do you, as they say, right? And in that case, we can provide that support if and when it is needed for those big enterprise customers. The second target profile is really what I would consider to be mid-market nudging up against enterprise. And this is a particularly interesting sweet spot because many of those organizations have the same big, huge organization problems, but less resources to throw at the problems. And so in those cases, you might only have an R&D team or a HR analytics team that's only maybe 2 or 3 people, right? So in those cases, we're going to augment what they've got in terms of the resources. We're going to amplify. So by a factor of 5, if you've got 3 people, we're going to give you the research power of 15. And that means that we're going to help with things like bringing best practices and advisory and consulting to help create a survey to measure the use cases that are important, be it candidate experience, onboarding experience, engagement, training, exit, right? Or anything in between, really. So we're going to provide that guidance that allows us to then set up a research program and maybe provide a little more steering to help amplify those 3 people. So that's the second target profile. And then the third is, you may have noticed that we've got some macroeconomic uncertainty going on out there in the world today. Right. And in many cases, I mean, a lot, what we've seen is these organizations, SMB all the way up to enterprise, frankly, they're just laying people off left and right and doing it without a lot of thought about the downstream implications and impacts of removing those people, because these organizations still have big, huge organization problems. And now they have exactly 0 resources to actually run measurement programs, conduct analyses, uncover insights, and then action plan on what to do about the problems that they are having. So in those cases, that's when we ask those customers to simply outsource the entire R&D program to us. And we basically provide the entire service with SLAs and all of the trimmings that come along with that, so that we're taking the burden off. And I think that's really the crux of everything that we're pushing for as part of this expo model, right? Because as I look at the industry, and this is something you're familiar with as well, there's so much investment in tech all day long. And I'm a big fan of tech. Don't get me wrong. We are a technology company. Mm-hmm. But as I look at many of the providers out there, particularly those who are private equity owned or VC backed, in a lot of cases, you look at the pattern that's happening out there, and a technology may be very good, and that technology is thereby backed or purchased or acquired as, part of doing business. Well, in many of those cases, the first thing that a PE or a VC firm does is what? They fire all the people who actually knew the inner workings of that technology and knew how to set it up and how to run it properly. And the whole point there is to reduce the headcount to a skeleton crew and then scale the business, maximize profits, and then flip the house in order to turn tidy profit, right? And that's great for them, and no faults towards the PE or VC firms. But that model does nothing positive for the customer that technology was intended to do something positive for. And so, part of this outsourcing model is really to help customers maximize their investments as part of a holistic employee experience management program, in my case, but certainly that extends to customer experience management programs as well.